The Jester's Curse. Cedar Hollow was the kind of town where nothing ever happened. Nestled in the heart of rural America, it was a place where everyone knew everyone, and life moved at a leisurely pace. The biggest event of the year was the annual county fair, a tradition that brought together families and friends for a week of fun and festivities. This year's fair, however, would be different. Unbeknownst to the townsfolk, something sinister was about to descend upon Cedar Hollow, something that would shatter their sense of security and change their lives forever. Chapter 1: The Arrival. The day the circus arrived, the air was filled with excitement. Children ran through the streets, eager to see the brightly colored tents and exotic animals. The smell of popcorn and cotton candy wafted through the air, and the sound of laughter and music echoed across the fairgrounds. Among the performers was a clown named Jester Jack. He was an imposing figure, tall and lanky, with a painted smile that never seemed to reach his cold, dead eyes. His act was captivating, his movements precise and unnerving. The children loved him, but the adults couldn't shake a feeling of unease when he was around. Jester Jack's arrival marked the beginning of a series of strange and terrifying events that would soon plague Cedar Hollow. Chapter 2: The Disappearances. It started with small things, a pet gone missing here, a bicycle found abandoned there. But soon, children began to disappear. First, it was little Timmy Parker, who had gone to bed one night and was never seen again. His parents were frantic, the town mobilized to search for him, but he had vanished without a trace. Then it was Sarah Miller, taken from her own backyard while playing with her dog. The town was gripped by fear, parents keeping their children close, eyes constantly scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. The police were baffled. There were no leads, no evidence, nothing to point to who, or what, was behind the disappearances. But some of the children who remained spoke of a clown who visited them at night, whispering promises of fun and adventure if they would only follow him. Chapter 3: The Investigation. Detective Laura Carter was brought in to investigate the case. A seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving the most perplexing crimes, she was determined to find the missing children and bring whoever was responsible to justice. Her first stop was the circus. She interviewed the performers, including Jester Jack. He was polite, his smile never wavering, but there was something in his eyes that sent a shiver down her spine. She left the circus grounds with a feeling of dread, convinced that Jack was hiding something. Laura began to dig into the circus's past and found a trail of disappearances that followed it from town to town. In each place, children had gone missing, and in each place, the circus had moved on before the authorities
Hummels
could
leaves
connect the
Dortmund
dots.
as Sahin succeeds
Chapter 4:
Terzic.
The
Defender
Discovery.
Mats Hummels will leave
Late
Borussia
one
Dortmund
night,
after
Laura
13
decided to
years
visit the
and
circus grounds
508
again.
appearances across two
She moved
spells.
quietly,
The
slipping
35-year-old
past the
reached
tents
the
and
Champions
trailers,
League
her
final with
flashlight
Dortmund in
cutting through the
2012-13 and again
She
this
made
year,
her way to
when they
Jester
lost to
Jack's
Real
trailer
Madrid.
and found
His
the door
exit was
slightly
confirmed
ajar.
on the day Nuri Sahin was
Inside,
appointed
she
Dortmund's
discovered
new
a
manager,
nightmare.
replacing
The
Edin
walls were
Terzic, who
covered with
departed on
newspaper
Thursday
clippings
after
about the missing
asking to
children,
terminate his contract.
photographs, and
Club
crude
stalwart
drawings.
Hummels told the club website,
In the corner, she
"External,
found a trap
it was a
door leading
huge
to an
honor and
underground
joy for me
chamber.
to have played for BVB
Her
for
heart
so
pounding,
long,
Laura
and to have been part of the
descended into
journey
the
from
darkness.
13th place in
The air
January
was thick with the
2008 to
smell
what
of decay,
Borussia Dortmund
and the
represents
walls were
today.
lined with cages.
This club and its fans
In one
are
of
something
them, she
very
found Timmy
special,
Parker,
and for me,
alive but
even more than
traumatized.
that. Hummels
He had
joined
been
Dortmund
kept
from
there for
Bayern on
weeks,
loan in
along with other
2008
children,
before
all
signing
in various
permanently the
states of
following
terror
year.
and confusion.
He won 2 successive
Jester
Bundesliga
Jack appeared
titles
suddenly,
and the
his
German
smile
Cup.
gone,
He rejoined
replaced by
Bayern
a
in
look of pure
2016,
malevolence.
then won the German
found
Cup
my
again
little
after
secret,
returning to
detective,
Dortmund in
he said,
2019.
his voice dripping with
Hummels
menace.
also won the World Cup
But
with
you won't
Germany
live to
in
tell anyone.
2014.
Chapter
Assistant
5:
coach
The
Sahin has stepped
Confrontation.
up to become Dortmund's
Laura
new boss
fought back
on a
with
3-year
everything she
deal.
had, using
Sahin
her
won the
training and
Bundesliga
instincts to
title
fend
and the
off
German
Jack's
Cup in
attacks. The
274
confined
appearances
space
as
of
a
the underground
midfielder for
chamber
the club.
made it difficult
The
to maneuver,
Germany-born
but
former
she
Turkey
managed to land a
international
few
stepped
blows,
into coaching
buying
with
herself enough
Antalyaspor
time to
after
free the
retiring as a
children.
player, before
With the
returning to
children huddled
Dortmund
behind
as an
her,
assistant
Laura
to
led them
Terzic
through
this
the
year.
maze of tunnels,
Sahin called
Jack's
his
maniacal
appointment a
laughter
great
echoing
honor,
behind
while
them.
Dortmund managing
They
director Lars
emerged into the
Ricken
night,
commended the
the fresh air of
35-year-old's
stark contrast
qualities
to the
and stressed
suffocating
they meant he
darkness
was
of the
ready for the
chamber.
high-pressure job.
But
We are
Jack was
very
relentless.
pleased to be able to hand over the
He chased them
responsibility
through
of
the
head coach
fairgrounds,
to
his
Nuri as a
painted face
representative of the
illuminated by the
younger
flickering
generation,
lights of the
said
midway.
Ricken, who played for the
Laura
club
and the
alongside
children
Sahin.
ran, desperate
He has been
to reach
committed to
safety,
preparing
but
for a
Jack
coaching
was always
career in
just a
recent
step
years
behind.
and will take on his new
Chapter
task with a
6,
lot of
the final
dedication
stand.
and develop our team.
The chase
As former
led them to the
teammates,
funhouse,
we will
a
work
labyrinth
together
of
in a
mirrors and
trusting and
illusions.
ambitious manner.
Laura
Nuri
led
knows
the
the
children
club,
inside,
its
hoping
staff,
to
and
lose
its
Jack in the
DNA,
maze.
both as a player and
The
as an
mirrors
assistant
distorted
coach.
their reflections,
We are convinced that
creating an
Nuri
eerie,
is the right coach for
disorienting
us.
landscape. Jack's laughter filled the air, a haunting sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Laura moved cautiously, her eyes scanning the mirrors for any sign of him. The children clung to her, their fear palpable. Suddenly, Jack appeared behind one of the mirrors, his face twisted into a grotesque grin. He lunged at them, but Laura was ready. She smashed the mirror with a nearby chair, the shards of glass scattering across the floor. Jack recoiled, his eyes filled with rage. "You can't stop me," he hissed. "I am eternal. I am the nightmare that never ends." Chapter 7, The Nightmare Ends. With the mirror shattered, Laura could see Jack clearly. She fought him with renewed determination, using the broken glass to her advantage. The children watched in terror as the battle raged on, their hopes resting on Laura's shoulders. In a final, desperate move, Laura managed to corner Jack and drive a shard of glass into his chest. He let out a blood-curdling scream, his body convulsing before collapsing to the ground. The lights of the funhouse flickered and went out, leaving them in darkness. The authorities arrived soon after, alerted by the commotion. The children were rescued, and Jack's body was taken away. The circus was shut down, and the townsfolk began the long process of healing from the trauma they had endured. Epilogue, The Legacy. Cedar Hollow slowly returned to its quiet, peaceful existence, but the scars of the past remained. The children who had been taken would carry the memories of their ordeal for the rest of their lives, and the town would never forget the terror that had once gripped it. Detective Laura Carter became a local hero, praised for her bravery and determination. But she knew that the true horror was not Jester Jack himself, but the darkness that could lurk behind the most innocent of facades. Years later, on the anniversary of the circus's arrival, strange sightings began to be reported in Cedar Hollow. Children claimed to see a clown in the shadows, whispering promises of fun and adventure. The townsfolk dismissed it as overactive imaginations, but Laura knew better. The Jester's curse, it seemed, was far from over. The nightmare would continue, lurking in the corners of Cedar Hollow, waiting for the right moment to emerge once more from the darkness. Chapter 8, The Echoes of Terror. As years passed, Cedar Hollow tried to move on, but the shadow of Jester Jack lingered. Detective Laura Carter had retired, choosing to live a quieter life, but she remained haunted by the memories of that horrific night. The anniversary of the circus's arrival was always a tense time, with parents keeping their children close and the town on high alert. One summer evening, as the sun set and the streets grew quieter, Laura received a call that sent chills down her spine. It was Sheriff Tom Williams, her old partner. "Laura, we need you. Another child has gone missing, and the clown sightings are back." Reluctantly, Laura agreed to help. She couldn't ignore the call for help, not when innocent lives were at stake. She returned to Cedar Hollow, her mind racing with possibilities and fears. Chapter 9, The Investigation Reopens. Laura, now in her late 40s, teamed up with Sheriff Williams to investigate the new disappearance. The missing child was 7-year-old Emma Thompson, last seen playing in her front yard. Her parents were distraught, and the entire town was in a state of panic. The first place Laura and Williams visited was the old circus grounds. The once vibrant fairgrounds were now overgrown and abandoned, a silent reminder of the past. As they searched the area, they found fresh tracks leading to the woods behind the grounds. Following the tracks, they discovered a hidden campsite. It was clear someone had been living there recently, but the site was abandoned. Among the debris, Laura found a tattered clown costume and a notebook filled with disturbing sketches and ramblings. The sketches depicted clowns with exaggerated, grotesque features, and the ramblings spoke of a new master who would continue the Reaper's work. Laura knew they were dealing with a copycat, someone who idolized Jester Jack and wanted to continue his legacy of terror. Chapter 10, The Copycat's Game. Laura and Williams delved deeper into the investigation, interviewing townsfolk and following leads. They discovered that the copycat had been watching the children of Cedar Hollow for months, planning his next move. The sightings of the clown were not just random occurrences but part of a larger, more sinister game. One night, while reviewing the notebook, Laura found a clue that led them to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. The factory had been closed for years, but recent signs of activity indicated that it was being used as a hideout. Laura and Williams, along with a team of officers, prepared for a raid. They knew the copycat would be dangerous, but they were determined to bring him to justice and save Emma. Chapter 11: The Raid. The team approached the factory under the cover of darkness, moving quietly to avoid alerting the copycat. They split into groups, searching each floor methodically. The factory was a maze of rusted machinery and decaying walls, the air thick with dust and decay. Laura's heart pounded as they reached the basement, where they found a series of makeshift cells. In one of them, they found Emma, scared but unharmed. She clung to Laura, tears streaming down her face. "He said he was going to make me his assistant," she sobbed. As they moved to leave, the copycat emerged from the shadows, dressed in a grotesque clown costume. He wielded a knife, his eyes wild with madness. "You think you can stop me?" he snarled. "The Reaper's legacy will live on." Laura and Williams confronted the copycat. A fierce struggle ensued. The confined space of the basement made the fight even more dangerous. Laura used her experience and training to outmaneuver him, but he was relentless, driven by a twisted sense of purpose. Chapter 12: The Final Confrontation. The battle reached its climax when Laura managed to disarm the copycat and knock him to the ground. Breathing heavily, she stood over him, her gun trained on his chest. "It's over," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The copycat laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the basement. "You can kill me, but there will always be another. The darkness in this town will never be gone." Laura hesitated for a moment, then handcuffed him, signaling for the other officers to take him away. She knew he was right in a way. The fear and horror he represented were not something that could be easily erased. But she also knew that Cedar Hollow could heal, and that by stopping him, they had taken a significant step towards reclaiming their peace. Epilogue: A New Dawn. With the copycat apprehended and Emma safely returned to her family, Cedar Hollow once again began the process of healing. The town rallied together, determined to support each other and move forward. Laura Carter became a symbol of resilience and bravery, her actions inspiring a new generation to stand against fear and darkness. She continued to work with Sheriff Williams in an advisory capacity, helping to ensure the town remained vigilant. The circus grounds were finally cleared and turned into a memorial park, a place where people could come to remember the victims and reflect on the strength of their community. The park became a symbol of hope and renewal, a testament to the town's ability to overcome even the darkest of times. Years later, as Laura walked through the park with her grandchildren, she felt a sense of peace. The nightmares that once plagued Cedar Hollow had been vanquished, and the town had emerged stronger than ever. But Laura knew that vigilance was essential. The shadows of the past might be gone, but the lesson remained: true strength comes from facing our fears and standing together against the darkness. And in Cedar Hollow, the light would always prevail.
Don't forget to subscribe.